Okay, I've got a set of data here and I want to build a graph of the averages of these samples and add some error bars. So first let's just have a look at our data. We've got male body temperature in Fahrenheit and female body temperature in Fahrenheit, and our sample population size for both is 65. You notice it goes to row 66, but that's because row 1 is the column label. So we've got an n value of 65. The first thing we need to do is calculate the averages or the means for each of our data sets. So we can get the spreadsheet to do that for us. Type in equals, which means it's a formula, average, and in bracket A2 to A66, bracket, enter, and it's calculated my average or my mean for this column. Now you notice that it's gone to 2 decimal places. I've already preset that. Now if yours does not go to 2 decimal places, go to Format, Cells, Number, and then enter 2 decimal places. Normally if your data set has included data to 1 decimal place, your average should be to 2 decimal places by default. To use the same formula for the females for column B, I don't actually need to type it out again. I can simply select this cell, copy it. Now I can go up to here, copy, or use Command C, and then Command V to paste, or I can just go into the menu here. And you notice that if you go up to the formula here, it's actually calculated for average B. The average for column B, it automatically moves it over to column B for you. Okay, and that's also to 2 decimal places. So I've now got the means, and this is actually the information I want to convert into a bar graph. We select both the titles and the numbers, and then insert recommended charts, and it's right at the top, clustered column, and there's our bar graph. I'm going to give this bar graph a title, so just highlight the title. You might have to double click on it, and then type in body temperatures for males and females. And I want to include error bars, plus or minus 1 standard error. Now, to have a plus or minus symbol, I go to Insert, and it's under Symbol, Math Symbols. There it is, plus or minus. Double click on that, and it should appear. Oops, I think I did it twice. Plus or minus 1 SE, which stands for standard error. Now the formatting of my title, it kind of ran off the edge, so I can actually just make my graph a little bit bigger. Let's try that again. There we go. Now my title fits my my chart size. So I now want to add a label for the y-axis and a label for the x-axis. Add chart element, axis title, primary horizontal, and the title for the x-axis is just going to be sex, so that's male or female. And the axis title for the vertical, primary vertical, is going to be body temperature, and in degrees Fahrenheit. Once again, I need a symbol, so insert symbol. I use degrees quite a bit. There it is, degrees Fahrenheit. Just click outside of the chart to have a look at it, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you can have a look at how I've labeled it. Okay, so we've got our bar graph. It's a good start, but I now want to add error bars. When I add error bars using Excel, it has a default error bar size. We don't want default error bar sizes. We need to actually calculate the error bars ourselves. Now, the standard error calculation, this is the formula, and it's found on the AP Biology formula sheet. That's standard error of the mean. X with a line over it means mean. The standard error of the mean is the standard deviation, that's S, divided by the square root of n, and n is the sample size. So to get standard error, we actually have to calculate standard deviation first. So let's do that right here. So standard deviation for the male and a standard deviation for the females. Okay, let's make this column a little bit bigger. this one too. All right. So we can use a formula in Excel. We type in equals STDEV. There it is, STDEV. And then we type in the series, and that's A2 to A66. Enter. And once again, I've done it to 2 decimal places. Again, I can copy paste this over, so I Command C, Command V, and I've got my standard deviation for males and females. It's done the standard deviation for column B, standard deviation for column A. Now that I have standard deviation, I can calculate standard error. Now, unfortunately, there is no formula word that I can use, like STERR or something. You actually have to calculate this manually. So we have the formula, so it's equals and standard deviation over root of n. So standard deviation is right here, and that's cell E28. And we're going to divide that by the square root of n, and n is 65. So divided by square root is SQRT in brackets 65, another bracket, enter. So it's once again 2 decimal places. It's calculated the standard error, which is standard deviation divided by the square root of n. Again, I can copy paste, Command C, Command V. It just so happens that the standard error is the same for both of these. Now I want to add a standard error bar of a value of 0.09 above and below the top of this bar. Now to do that, first I need to select on the chart, go to Chart Design, add Element, Error Bars, and here, even though it has standard error, like I said, we do not want to use the Excel's default standard error bar because it's going to be the same value for each bar. So we're going to have to do more error bars options. And over on the right here, you notice there's a window that will give you some formatting options. We want to use a custom error bar. We do not want these error bars. They're not the right size. So go to, so you see here the fixed value is 0.05. We do not want 0.05. We have 0.09. We've calculated ourselves. So we go to custom, specify value. We want a positive value of, now you need to select both of these to let it know that you actually want to use 2 different error bar values. And in this case, it happens to be the same. But if it's different, it will actually use each value separately. For the positive, and then go down to the negative, do the same thing. Oops, select both bars. And hit OK. And now we've got our standard error bars. Let's say we also want to create a column graph with not just standard error bars, but standard deviation bars. It's the same procedure that we just did. I'll just go through it again now. So it's first we need to select the values we want. We want these values. We're going to go to Insert, Clustered Column. And in this case, it's going to be body temperatures for males and females, plus or minus. There's my symbol, plus or minus. One standard deviation, SD. And again, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. There we go. And I can add the titles the way I just showed you, but I'm just going to skip straight ahead to adding those standard deviation bars. So click on my chart, add chart element, go to error bars, more error bars options. Once again, custom, specify value. The positive value is going to be these 2 numbers. The negative value is going to be those 2 numbers. Hit OK. And we've got our standard deviation bars. That's it.